I've always been a firm believer in everyone should pull their own weight, even if you have a disability, and use your God-given talents to make this world a better place, provide for yourself. And if you choose to have a family, you should provide for them too, even if, like I said, you have a disability. In very rare circumstances, I suppose the taxpayer could provide for very severe disabilities if the family can't support them financially. But I think those cases are very rare, because generally I think people with disabilities can even provide for themselves and use what they can do to the best of their ability, and make a living that way. So here's a way that I do. I obviously have cerebral palsy, so it's been a little bit more difficult for me to find jobs sometimes and get work. But once I do, generally I find something I like about the job, and I'll make it work. So, but there's jobs I've been laid off. I had a job for a few months after I got laid off. I really didn't like it, so I applied at other places, and now, I've been here for about a year where I'm at now, and it's a great place to work. I feel like I'm passionate about what I do, and also I feel like I can share more about how, to find a place that anybody with a disability or cerebral palsy could work, that they could find a place that's suited for them, and they could do something that they're passionate about. Disabilities generally don't help you become more productive. Sometimes they can, but generally they hurt you productive, which in the marketplace it's generally difficult, to get ahead. Financially, if you're less productive than the average person. So this brings me to my first point. It's important to find something that your disability really doesn't prohibit you from doing. So I have a walking disability. I don't do things that require walking and physical activity to do. If you want to find a great career, you learn what you're good at and what your strengths are. Even if you have a disability, you learn how your disability hurts your body, how you can inspire others. Even if you don't use even if your disability doesn't become a factor in your work, I think it's important to make it an inspiration to others, even if it doesn't even if it doesn't affect what you do. So if you're blind, you should find something that you're suited for, and if you have a walking disability, probably a desk job would be a good thing. It doesn't require much physical activity. The other thing early on in life is sometimes, it's good to, especially if you have a disability, to make good financial choices. You never know what you're going to be faced with in life. So when you invest money early, it tends to compound and build. So if you have that nest egg that you always have, and it's continuously compounding, you're not going to find yourself in a bad situation one day when you're 35, because if you invest when you're 18, you'll probably have a pretty good sized nest egg when you're 35, or whenever something bad happens, and if you're not able to do a certain trade that a normal person would be able to do, or a physical job, when you lose your job, you'll be okay. College is an important thing when you're early on also. That way you generally, if you study something you enjoy, that your disability is not going to prohibit you from doing a certain career that you want to do. It's important to study that career, and probably get at least a bachelor's degree, so you'll be able to get in a good place. But I think it's important, that if you do have a disability, a lot of times smaller companies don't always treat people with disabilities well. You can always kind of tell by the way they keep up the business. When you first walk into it, whether it's a good place. There's a lot of other factors that you can tell, but it's important, to do research on the company that you work for. The level of satisfaction I have throughout life generally depends on the job that I'm doing. And, if I have a job I hate, I generally perceive life very poorly and negatively. But if I have a job that I really enjoy doing and I feel like I have a purpose in what I'm doing, I generally have a very positive outlook. I generally enjoy life day to day much more than if I do not like what I'm doing and I'm going through pain every day. Obviously that, painful in of itself. Generally Fortune 500 companies, I just looked at it before I made the video. There would be like Johnson & Johnson, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Velocity, a lot of service-oriented jobs are in the great place to work, but I didn't even know there was such a thing as a great place to work survey. But since I've worked at the place I'm at now, there is one, and it's, I think generally, bigger Fortune 500 companies generally treat people with disabilities better. So I think that's an important thing to look at when you're considering employment, when you do have a disability like cerebral palsy that affects you, your day-to-day activities. And I think you'll find something you're passionate about while you're working for one of them, and you can also always create your own business. Sometimes it's a hard thing to do, but it could be the best, and that'll be a tremendous inspiration to others I know too.